I've got stars in my eyes. I've got so much love I can't disguise. How I feel, what I do, everything revolves around you. And your love set me free. Now I know how it feels to be alive. You've got me on your side. You've got someone to confide in. I would never let you down. I will always. So let the midnight special come out, shine a light on me. Let the midnight special light out, shine a light on me. And you're the calmest roses you will see. In other words, and a million, yeah, could make her dance. And a million, thank you, could make her dance. And then will be mine the prophets say, and like a flower it will grow. Be not afraid to love my brother man, and peace is mine tomorrow. Charity, you're so young and beautiful. Charity, I need you now and always will. Love lifts us up where we belong, where the eagles cry on a mountain high. Love lifts us up where we belong, for from the world we know, up where the clear. Take my heart, it's yours to take. Take my heart, it's yours to break. Take it now and keep it always, evermore, or just today. Take my heart and make it fill with my heart to as you will. Do it all. I love you madly, madly. If you take my heart, life is short for everyone. Give your hand, you'll be my own. Take my heart.
Good afternoon. A special welcome to all of you here today. On behalf of Yvette and Greg, I would like to thank you for joining us today as we celebrate the life of a special rose, a special man, a loved man, Dennis East, who joined this world on the 6th of May in 1949. Dennis grew up in Pietermaritzburg, and he told me that his headmaster had told him at school that he was never going to make it in the music industry, and that his father echoed the same sentiments and said to him, "Dennis, when you leave school, you should find yourself a proper job." Dennis became part of a band called the Statesmen in Pietermaritzburg just before turning professional in 1969 at the tender age of 20. He was in the Air Force in Durban when he met Yvette, and they tied the knot on the 23rd of January 1971 at St. Mary's Catholic Church in Pietermaritzburg. 4 years later, in Johannesburg, they were blessed with the arrival of their son, Greg. Could You Ever Love Me Again was Dennis's first recorded single in 1973, which hit the airwaves. Now in Pietermaritzburg, there was a very quiet and astounded headmaster. And there was a very excited and proud father who was running through each level of the block of flats, knocking on the doors and shouting, "Turn on your radio, my son's song is playing." After his solo single, Dennis produced 3 top 10 singles: A Rose Has to Die, A Million Drums, and Stone Walls. He was the founder member of a rock band called Stingray in 1979, and their debut album was highly rated across the world. Their top hit that smashed many records and blew up many amps and speakers was the well-known song, Better the Devil You Know. His song, Damn It, I Love You, was a hit in the 90s, and he produced a number of albums throughout his years in the music industry. Dennis had some of his songs recorded and performed by local and international artists, such as Glenn Campbell and John Farnham. He has also written and produced songs for the likes of Patricia Lewis, Zwai Bala, Bobby Angel, Bless Bridges, Lance James, Little Sister, Kurt Darren, and Marnie Jackson, to name a few. Dennis's last album was called Driving My Life Away, where the title track is a beautifully written song called My Maria. Owning his own studio called Shyam Music Productions and celebrating over 52 years in the music industry, Dennis, our legend and an inspiration to many of us, has left a legacy. On the home front, Dennis was a loving husband, father, uncle, brother, and son. The environment was always fun and special when Dennis was around. Laughter, jokes, music, pranks, these were always high on the agenda when he was in the mix. Being present and engaging with purpose were the gifts that Dennis shared. Whenever someone asked him for advice, or whenever someone was keen to get some insight on something, he would listen patiently, and he would always share and advise for the greater good of the inquiring person. Dennis would always call us on our birthdays each year, and I must admit that I'm going to miss those calls, especially the greeting. With a huge smile, he would shout, "How's it, man?" And this is the same every time he arrived at our house or when we went to visit them, a face full of joy. "How's it, man?" In January this year, Dennis sang Stand By Me on stage to Yvette to celebrate their 51st wedding anniversary. Mutual love, devotion, honor, and respect between husband and wife was tangible and evident for all of us to see. There was not a dry eye at our table or at a few other tables at that restaurant in Hout Bay. That song, Stand By Me, epitomizes Dennis, as he is always assisting others, especially family, friends, and those in the music industry, who sought his help and guidance. He always stood by them. The song speaks volumes about Dennis's gratitude for his family, for his friends, and especially for you, Yvette. You have always been there for him throughout your marriage and throughout his career. You, dearest Yvette, are an incredible woman and an amazing wife, mother, and aunt. We all love you, and we all know that the last few weeks have been tough, and they've been confusing. And as you said yesterday, you look at the door because you're expecting Dennis to walk in. But know that we'll be with you always, and I hope you have comfort in that. You were, and you still are, Dennis's unchained melody. To Greg, your dad was a creative artist and a wonderful man with a crazy sense of humor and the ability to prank and have fun all the time. This is evident in the leaflet that you produced for the funeral and for today, to honor and to respect your father. When I see you, Greg, I see your dad. I hear him and I experience his joy, his laughter, his jokes, and his pranks, and especially his love. That's what I see when I see you. Friends, your talents are your gifts from God, and sharing your talents with others is your gift back to God. Our Dennis has always shared his talents far and wide in his life, in this world, and he is now going to do the same in his new life and in a new world. To Dennis, damn it, we love you, and we are going to miss you till we meet again. If I can ask you to bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you that you have made us in your image and blessed us with gifts and talents that we use to serve you. We thank you for the unique gifts of Dennis. We thank you for the image of you which we saw in Dennis, the love we received from him, and the memories that we cherish of Dennis. May we be filled with the strength and courage to entrust Dennis into your hands. Comfort us in our grief, Lord, and give us the assurance of your promise of eternal life. Through Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen. Thank you. I'd like to call up Vernon to come and say a few words. Vernon was friends with Dennis since 1972.
Sure. How do I compete with that? Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to be very brief. It's just that I want to share a few events that happened during my life and friendship with Dennis. We met in 1972. We each had our own respective bands, and we crisscrossed paths during the years of rock and roll. It was a good few years later, I moved into a different type of business, and I went into stage productions and the corporate world. Excuse me. So I had a song that had to be written for one of my clients as a theme song for a conference. And the late Terry Dempsey actually wrote the song for me. And we went to the studio to do it. And by sheer luck, the singer that I'd booked didn't pitch up. That was good news, because studio time those days certainly didn't come cheap. So I had to think hard and fast. And being in the northern suburbs of Joburg, Dennis's name automatically came up. And we found him, and he was at home, and he was willing to come to the studio, and he was there within a half an hour. And I promise you, he heard the soundtrack, he listened to the song, went into the sound booth, nailed it. First take, no ifs and buts, killer. He nailed it. And I said to him, well, if the client likes the song and they accept it, would you be prepared to perform it at Sun City in the Super Bowl? And he said, of course, what a pleasure. As a good fortune would have it, they did accept it, and Dennis did perform, and that's where our story really started moving. And we did quite a lot together, but as Dennis would be, he was always the funny man, and we used to share a lot of jokes when we did meet each other on occasion. So it turns out that we went to, I can't even remember where it was. I can't really see in this light. But anyhow, long story short, he wrote so many songs, theme songs, jingles, all sorts of stuff that I needed. And I met, Dennis introduced me to a chap by the name of Fred Woods. Now, Fred had a studio in the north of Joburg, So we used to do a lot of stuff there, and we actually struck up a friendship, which was absolutely fantastic. So with that happening, Yvette and Greg and Fred's wife Lynn and myself and Sandy, we used to socialize quite a lot. We used to have some seriously memorable and funny evenings. And one day we had a do at my place. Fred and myself were discussing the electric fence that I just installed. So Dennis was quite interested to see how it works. So off we went, and we had to go out in the dark. Now, bearing in mind, Cape Townians won't know this, but in Johannesburg, in the middle of winter, in June, it gets seriously cold. And it was quite dark. In fact, it was very dark, and we walked outside and had to walk past the pool. So, guess what? Dennis falls into the pool. Well, and he didn't even drink. I mean, seriously. So Fred and myself were having an absolute hose, and my friend Dennis, who now lives in the UK, he thought this was hilarious. So we pulled Dennis out the pool, not realizing that during this fall he had twisted his knee, and it wasn't lekker. So we had to get him into a hot shower and into some dry clothes. Everything was cool. But the problem being is the following morning he was on live television on Good Morning South Africa with Dorian Berry for an interview. I think it's the first time that she ever had to do an interview standing up, because he couldn't sit down. He was in plaster, so hey-ho. Anyhow, a few weeks later, we had a little do at our place again, and I'm sure Yvette and Greg will remember this so clearly. The gang arrived, Fred, Lynn, everybody. And I thought, I've got to do something. I've got to get something over Dennis, because it takes a lot to beat him. So I surrounded my pool completely with hazard tape as a setup. Okay, fair enough. We're all sitting, waiting in anticipation to see how he's going to react to this. So the doorbell rings, open the door, and guess there he is. Bathing costume, goggles, snorkel, and flippers. I mean, seriously, how do you beat that? I mean, really, that was hilarious. But I can tell you a lot of stories, but all I want to do is say he's a man of talent. He's a man that had everything going for him. He was the greatest singer and artist I've ever worked with, and he's going to be certainly missed by myself, my friends, my family. Dennis, my buddy, thank you. Sing with the angels. God bless. Rest in peace. Thank you.
Hey everybody. The emotions of such an event leaves me unable to be on stage to perform this next song for you guys. One of Dennis's greatest hits was Rose Has to Die, and I've decided to record this song in my little home studio as a tribute to my friend Dennis East. I will miss him dearly.
Hi Fern, how's it man? I'm still lying in this hospital right now, and I'm probably going to be discharged tomorrow, but I will make contact with you the moment I get a gap year. Thanks Fern, okay.
And we would dance the night away. We will now listen to testimonies and farewells from the closest friends of Dennis.
Yvette, it must feel as if there's a huge hole in your universe right now with a big star missing. We can't know your sadness and pain right now. But we love Dennis too. He and I had the ironic conversation at Lance's funeral about who will be next. Surely not the young ones like him or me, but that's how it goes, the madness of it all. How crazy is that? Dennis was my mentor. I loved his calm demeanor. I envied his calm demeanor. I made a CD with him, also a movie soundtrack, and I shared many incredible moments on stage with him. Always in awe of his incredible ability. His voice told beautiful stories. He will be sorely missed also by us. May fond memories eventually bring a smile back on your face when you think of him. Good luck and God bless.
Yvette and Greg, I'm so incredibly sorry for your loss. I know that you are hurting and dealing with immense sorrow. And though it might not console you, I want you to know that there are many people who share your pain. Dennis was one of the kindest people I knew. He was funny and calm and such a reassuring presence, always ready to help and passionate about his craft. My journey from fangirl to friend was one of the great privileges in my life. After my dad passed, Dennis was a mentor and many a day a surrogate father to me, and in those sad times he always managed to make me smile and even laugh out loud with his tales about Bless. He was the last producer to work with my father and also the last one I had the privilege to work with. I will treasure all those memories forever. His passing leaves a gaping hole in my heart and also in the South African music industry. Just as he was loved by all who knew him, he will be dearly missed. A rose has to die every time we say goodbye. You are in my thoughts and prayers, and Dennis will live in my heart forever.
Ek het in 2014 die geleentheid en die voorreg gehad om vir Dennis East te ontmoet, toe ek en hy in Werner Bekes in 'n album van my gewerk het. Dankie Werner dat ek hom kon ontmoet. En ek het ook akoestiese gitaar gespeel op een van sy songs, wat 'n voorreg. En ja, ek jammer ek kan nie vandag daar wees nie, maar ek sal dit vir die res van my lewe onthou. Amazing gentleman en iemand wat altyd die mooiste raad gehad. Hy het die mooiste stem gehad. En hy was 'n ware legende en ek Yvette and Greg, I'm very sorry for your loss. And may the good Lord bless and keep you until we meet again. Thank you so much.
Hello everyone, I'm so sorry that I can't be there today. I'm on the road busy traveling, doing what we do best and doing what Dennis absolutely loved to do. What an absolute privilege it was or is to have known Dennis. I had the privilege of recording my very first pro album at his studio, 16 amazing country tracks. I think it was 4 days where we recorded non-stop, and within that 4 days he absolutely climbed into my heart, not only as an amazing musician, producer, but also as a beautiful person. And I've had the honor and privilege of touring with him a couple of times, and sharing a stage with him has been such a blessing, and my life is forever just richer just knowing Dennis. So my love goes out to Yvette and Greg. I'll keep in touch with you guys, and I know you're going to miss him terribly, and we all look forward to the day that we get to see him again. Blessings to all of you. Love you guys. Bye.
Hi Yvette and Greg. Words can't describe how sorry I am for your loss. Dennis was a great person. What a husband, what a father, what a friend, what a mentor. And you know, Dennis, as you've always known, Dennis also knew it. He was always, you know, one of my all-time heroes as a producer, as a singer, as a songwriter. And I remember when I was a boy, age 13, back then I wished I had been granted only 1 minute in the presence of Dennis. 16 years later, that wish came true. Except Dennis and I became really, really good friends. And for that, I will always be thankful. Always. Dennis and I spoke all the way through his final months with regards to his health, the angina heart, and the possible surgery that was coming up. And I never knew in my wildest imaginations that I would be sitting here recording a video and he wouldn't be present at this very moment. It's just heartbreaking in all aspects of being heartbroken. I have a million memories of my dear friend Dennis East, and all the pages in the world wouldn't be enough to write them down. I will always miss you, dear Dennis, and treasure the moments that you and I have shared. Goodbye, dear friend, till we meet again.
Hallo almal, Rieke Snell hier so. Ek is baie hartseer dat ek nie vandag kan wees by Dennis se begrafnis nie. Net my storie oor Dennis 2002 daarom toe ek as deel van Dousie se orkes was my heel eerste ateljee of studio experience was saam met Dennis. My heel eerste session in my lewe wat ek op iemand se CD gespeel het was by Dennis. Ek het soveel by hom geleer. Ek het soveel agting vir hom gehad. Hy was 'n briljante sanger, hy was 'n briljante producer en ek het die voorreg gehad om 'n verhoog met hom te deel. Ek het die voorreg gehad om baie tyd met hom in 'n studio te spandeer en ons gaan jou baie mis, my ou maat, en sterkte aan sy familie, sterkte almal wat daar is en mag dit goed gaan met julle en dink aan julle.
Dennis East, our heartbreak goes out to your entire family, your beautiful wife Yvette and son Greg. Dennis East, he was the producer of at least 80% of all my songs and hits that I've ever had the privilege of recording in my entire career. Some of those songs written by him too. Those will always remain my favorites. At about 7 years old, I heard a song on the radio called When a Rose Has to Die Every Time You Tell a Lie. I can still hear it ringing in my ears. I asked my mother to turn up the volume as I absolutely loved it, and I still do. And I'm gonna cry. It turned out to be a young singer named Dennis East. My mom and I became instant fans. She brought the album and we played it over and over again, singing it together. Never in my life did I for 1 second ever dream that one day this incredible singer, songwriter, producer, radio DJ, the list carries on, multi-talented, precious person would one day produce hit after hit songs for me. After some very successful years as a team together, I insisted to record to my record company, Sony, that Dennis travels to Sweden with me to produce my vocal recordings for an album that I recorded in Stockholm, in the very same studio that ABBA recorded numerous hits. It was such a highlight in both our careers, Dennis and mine. I'm so happy that we were able to experience this rare privilege in producing songs together. We were recently planning some more recordings for the future. When I first met Dennis 26 years ago, I was very nervous and didn't know if I was actually capable or good enough to sing or record or even become a singer. But Dennis guided me meticulously through more than 120 songs over the next 15 years, word for word, never ever allowing a bad take to ever go through. I learned almost everything I know about singing, recording vocals, backing vocals, harmonies, background choir, all of this from him, with precious and legendary Keith Forsyth, his best friend or one of, at the mixing desk. I was also very privileged that on most of these songs, Dennis also loaned his incredible voice and sang in the choir with me. Dennis, you were a passionate perfectionist and warrior when it came to anything that you put your name to. That's truly something to be said about you, especially in this day and age, our now instant world. You adored your beautiful wife Yvette and your wonderful son Greg, and often spoke so proudly of them. Your crazy humor, cracking jokes, incredible talent, magnificent songs, voice, and devotion to your family will sorely be missed. Rest in peace, my dear friend. Until we all meet again and join you playing percussion on a million drums.
Dear Dennis, you were that very, very special man in the music business. You did everything to perfection. And you worked so well with us and with Lance. And I thank you for everything that you've done in our lives. And it's been a pleasure and an honor to work with you in this business. Rest well in heaven. No more pain. No more sorrow. Regards to Yvette and Greg on this sad loss. Love, Mara.
You've always liked the way my baby smiles, and now you've heard that I'll be gone a while. So you try to steal her kisses, but you know she really misses me. And you will see that a million drums couldn't make her dance, and a million drums couldn't make her dance, and 1,000 violins couldn't make her hold your hand, and a million drums couldn't make her dance. Well, you could get 100 moons to shine and serenade that little girl of mine, but no matter what you play her still, you'll never ever sway her heart. She's much too smart, and a million drums couldn't make her dance, and a million drums couldn't make her dance, and 1,000 violins couldn't make her hold your hand, and a million drums couldn't make her dance. And a million drums couldn't make her dance, and a million drums couldn't make her dance, and 1,000 violins couldn't make her hold your hand, and a million drums couldn't make her dance, and a million drums couldn't make her dance, and a million drums couldn't make her dance.
The day I heard Dennis East passed away, my heart skipped a million drums. So Yvette and Greg, I can't even think about how you must feel. He was such a big man with a big heart, with incredible big talent. I just want to forward a few condolences from Keith Forsyth. He wished he could have been here. Karika Kesenkamp, Rina Yugu, when Maneli Scorsio was still, before he went to hospital, he also sent his condolences. Kathy Viljoen and Ignas Streicher of Overval Stereo, Marius de Vos of IFM 102.2. Everybody are thinking about you and praying for you. I was 5 years old in Pietermaritzburg. A dream started of becoming a singer. Never thought a guy from Pietermaritzburg will fulfill that dream. When Dennis took me to Kwesi van die Kerk at Select Music, my world changed, and I was privileged to work with him on 9 albums as producer, which 8 turned into gold, platinum, triple gold and double platinum for the sales. Dennis as a producer produced more than 3 million album sales. There's no one in South Africa like him. There will be nobody ever. I've spoken to him he was busy on my album next year, and I told him when Jody Wayne passed away, I said, you guys must please take care of yourself, because in a few years I'm not going to have any friends left. He said, don't you worry, I'll be here for many moons. And I can't believe I'm standing here today saying goodbye to Dennis East for the last time, but he will always be remembered. I had the privilege of working with him on my last album as well, and we recorded a song as a duet. His brother just passed away, and he was very heartbroken about it. And he just told me he's going to go into the studio and sing his heart out. Yesterday, it was a year back when I flew him down to Joburg, to Pretoria, when the Minor Jackson Rose was presented by me, by Ludwig Roses, and I thought he had to be part of the whole thing because he was the componist of... Ek is Engels, okay? Ek is Afrikaans. Ek het Bommerandstad groot geword na Pietermaritzburg. Hy is die komponis van die sang en ek het gevoel hy moet daar wees. The last few months, I will say from July, when I spoke to him on the telephone, I could hear his mind changed a lot about religion and church, and he was always talking about the priest and the little church he attended, and he spoke more about the Bible, he spoke more about the Lord and about forgiveness and peace, and I think the Lord prepared him for what he knew was coming. And what an honor to end my part with this duet that I've done with Dennis East, November 2021.
Can you hear the echoes of the hammer falling on the wooden cross? Can you hear them as the blood flows? The echoes of the cross. Can you hear him weeping as the Father turns his face away, forsaken by earth and heaven, with the nails and thorns of grace, and with every hammer God's word was made complete. Our sin exchanged for his righteousness through echo, hands and feet. And you feel the crushing weight of our sin upon his back as he hangs in pain and nakedness, while the Roman soldiers laughed. Can we ever comprehend it please God to crush his son, that through his just injustice could such a mercy come? But can you dare imagine how this wrong could be so right? hand falling on the wooden cross. Can you hear him as his blood flows? The echoes of the cross.
Hey Dennis, Tony here. I still find it pretty surreal and unbelievable. We're going to miss you greatly. Not only were you a musical legend, but you were an absolute gentleman and one of the nicest, most decent people I've ever met in my life. On behalf of the lads in Rocking Horse, farewell Dan and take care. I'm going to miss our chats, our lunches, our visiting the horses, visiting cats. It's pretty tough, but we know that there's one more angel in heaven. Stone walls wouldn't be able to keep you out. Cheers, Dan. Love you, brother. Miss you.
Moeilik om afskeid te neem van so groot legende, Dennis East. Dennis, van my kant af, baie dankie vir die tye en die ure in die studio, die grappies wat ons gehad het, die kere wat ons die verhoog kon saam deel. Dit was vir my baie spesiaal en dit sal altyd na my hart lê. Gaan jou mis my ou maat, maar jou musiek sal voortleef en ons sal jou altyd hier in ons harte hou.
Ek is Christo van die groep Broers, en namens myself en die Broers was dit met groot skok en 'n hartseer dag wat ons verneem het van Dennis se afsterwe. Mentor, vriend, kollega, laat 'n baie groot leemte nie net in die musiekbedryf nie, maar ook as individu en persoon in die samelewing. Ons het met Dennis skouers geskuur jare gelede in die 90er jare toe hy produksies gedoen het vir BMG musiek waar ons baie betrokke was met die repertoire keuse van die kunstenaars. En daarso het ons vir Dennis ontmoet en nooit 'n skewe woord nie, nooit 'n slegte dag nie, altyd vrolik, altyd vriendelik, altyd baie gefokus. Ek dink nie Dennis het in sy lewe ooit 'n vyand gemaak nie. En daarom wil ek vir julle sê, Yvette, Greg, baie sterkte, ons dink aan julle, ons gaan vir Dennis mis, soos ek reeds gesê het, nie net as musikant en regisseur nie, maar ook as vriend en individu. Rus in vrede.
Hi, good morning, my name's Chrissy van Niekerk. Used to have a music label called Select Music, and was very fortunate and privileged to work with Dennis on many productions that he did for us. At one stage he even worked in our studios here in Cape Town, and we really got to know him very well. Always had a good joke to tell, always a smile on his face, never complained about anything, was just a real gentle person. And to tie that up, he also was one of the best producers, arrangers in South Africa, and needless to say, a very good musician and vocalist. We sorely miss you, Dennis, and we're thinking of your family and hoping that you guys can survive and get through this very difficult time. From all of us, from every artist that have worked with you, from my family, from my staff at Select Music, everybody that worked with you, say rest in peace and God bless. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Clive Bruce. What a sad day it was to learn of Dennis's leaving us. My condolences to Yvette, Greg, and all his friends and family. Dennis was a man of immense talent and abilities, and what a pleasure it was to work with him, be it in the music studio, on stage, or on the road. A man with infectious laughter, a joke at hand, even though he may be in discomfort. Always a professional attitude and a great connection with the crowd he was performing to, and getting them involved with the music. I, for one, will miss him being in the music world, and so will many others, I'm sure. Once again, my sympathies to all who held him dear.
Dennis East, an unbelievable artist. When I think of Dennis, what comes to mind is a hardworking, dedicated, prepared, always ready to work, focused, creative, talented man who was literally great at everything he touched in music, whether it was songwriting, producing, engineering, writing, singing, performing, preparing, rehearsing. An artist who was always prepared, always focused, and always willing to give his utmost best. The last time I got to work with Dennis was when we had a private function in Cape Town, a very, very special 70th birthday party. And I'll never forget working with Dennis. It was truly one of those moments where I sat back during the rehearsals and looked at Dennis and just realized no gig was too big or too small. No fan or music lover was insignificant. No song didn't deserve the absolute best production or the absolute best performance delivery. Dennis was truly cut out of the very first molds of craftsmanship and talent, and truly somebody that I think is an absolute loss for this industry to no longer have with us. Dennis, thank you for your creativity, thank you for the example you set, and thank you for leaving an unbelievable legacy in the industry of not only Afrikaans, but South African music.
Hello there. Firstly, Greg and Yvette, our sincere condolences for your big loss. Dennis was loved by so many people, and me and Peter especially, we loved him so much. He was such a good friend.
And a great mentor for me.
We're going to miss him, we're going to miss our chats and all his plans and everything that we always discussed.
Late night talks are about music. Yeah, sitting around the table and talking about music. Oh.
Absolutely.
And showing together.
Yes, all the gigs and all the plans for the next gig. The road trips.
Road trips.
Stopping everywhere for snacks.
Oh, we're going to miss him.
But Yvette wasn't supposed to know about the snacks. So sorry about that, Dennis. But yeah, we're going to miss Dennis, and we can just pray that there will be some peace in your hearts. And where Dennis is, he's well and he's rocking up heaven, and we're going to miss him. And Greg and Yvette, especially, we're thinking about you all the time.
Yes, we're thinking about you guys all the time. I hope you guys are well, and yeah, we certainly, it's a big loss for everyone, and for us as well, definitely. And yeah, we're gonna miss him so much.
Yeah, absolutely, and strong, and we're thinking of you and we're praying for you.
Dear Danny, I never thought this day would come so soon. One of the saddest days of my life, when I had to say goodbye to my best friend. The months before this very sad day, when you so bravely struggled with your health, taught me so many lessons of live and let him live. You always stayed positive through it all, pushing forward to get things done, almost as if there was a driving force behind it all, and you knew something that we all didn't know was coming. Never have I heard a complaint out of your mouth. You just wanted to be back on your feet again, doing live shows that you so love to do. Your beautiful family, Yvette and Greg, were at the deepest core of your heart. You were so very proud of Yvette and the wife that she was to you, the beautiful way in which she carried herself through all the difficult times that she had to go through with you. Greg was your trophy, your pride and your joy. You were so proud of the man that he became, his design ability, and the wonderful son that he was to you. For 9 years I had the privilege of being on the road with you. Every moment spent with you is now so very precious to me. Thank you for everything you taught me, for never judging me, and for all the love you showed me. Thank you for precious memories and for all the mental pictures of our times together on the road that I can carry with me. I will never hear your loud voice when you come through the door and announce your presence again, and I will miss it dearly. Go rest high on that mountain, Ben. Your work on earth is done. Love you always.
Hallo allemaal, is Christo Boyens hier van Bakgat Promoties. Ja, wat 'n hartseer dag is dit om finaal afskeid te neem van Dennis East. Ja, Yvette and Greg, my heart goes out to you in this difficult time. Dennis was a great guy, friend, artist, and obviously a great husband and dad. Ja, wat ek altyd van Dennis sal onthou is dat hy super professioneel was. Hy was 'n wonderlike musikant en producer en mens. Niks was te moeilik vir hom nie. Hy het altyd alles aangepak met alles wat hy het. Die laaste paar jaar waar hy net op die verhoog optree en sy gesin was natuurlik vir hom die belangrikste geweest. Daar was altyd 'n grappie in enige gesprek wat ek met hom gehad het. Ek het lekker gelag. Dennis, ons gaan jou mis. Regtig, ons gaan jou baie mis. Die wêreld gaan jou mis. Suid-Afrika gaan jou mis. Die musiekbedryf gaan jou mis. En maar hy is nou op 'n beter plek. Jy weet en Greg, our doors are open for you and for you, and know that you was a true legend and friend. Me and Annemie will always be there for you. Rest in peace, Dennis.
Dennis, my friend, we go right back to 1982. When I first met you, you were doing some backing vocals on my first albums, and we had such a wonderful time then. Over that period, we did some concerts together. I remember having lots of fun at Sun City with you on a very big show that we did there. And more recently, recording my song Live On with Kurt Darren in your house in Joburg, in your studio. And then most recently, when we went on tour all the way to Springbok and around the Western Cape. What wonderful times. You'll be sorely missed, Dennis. You were a wonderful friend, and we had some really special moments. Rest in peace, my friend.
That's completely crazy. Crazy is love from you. No, the big surprise will be the look on our faces the day it comes true. You by my side, who can say what's wrong with love might strike today.
On behalf of Yvette and Greg, I convey a message of special thanks to Krista and to Annemie for organizing this wonderful event. Special thanks to Jamrock Cafe for the venue, for the catering, for the sound, the lighting, everything. Thank you. It's a special blessing to be able to have this today. Thank you for that. Thank you to Vanna for the video editing, Gordon Howells for the live streaming, and especially for all of you here today, in the venue and those that are watching on the streaming at your homes, just for celebrating Dennis's life. You can see that he's had a huge impact, a positive impact on all of us, on everybody. So as we end today, we ask you to join us for some refreshments and just to relive the special times with Dennis, as we all know it. Laughter, fun, and huge love. Thank you.
Bok Radio bring hulde aan 'n legende, sanger, musiekregisseur, kollega en vriend, Dennis East.
Hi there, this is Dennis East
with Tate Lewis here on bokradio.co.za. Today will be my last time presenting Tate Lewis. It's been a wonderful 3.5 years for me, bringing you the best in timeless South African music. A big thank you to everyone at Bok for your support and hard work for making my show possible. And not forgetting the listeners who are the lifeblood in what we do. Listen to your voice on the telephone. Hear you say, you're not home, it's crazy. 'Cause I know you're there.
Vir Dennis sal ek altyd onthou as iemand wat lief was daarvoor om te gesels. Hy het dit geniet om musiekdinge te vertel, altyd 'n idee of twee gehad. Gereeld het ek vir hom gekontak en gevra, Dennis, ek is op soek na hierdie aldie, het jy hom? En dan sal hy antwoord en sê, Wynand, ek het hom nie, maar ek sal hom kry. Ek ken iemand wat iemand ken, wat weer iemand ken. Ja, met soveel passie en soveel liefde vir die Suid-Afrikaanse musiekbedryf het hy geleef daarvoor om ander, jonger kunstenaars te help en ook 'n plek in die son te gee. Wat 'n legende. Dennis, ek gaan ons koffie drink en ons gesels baie mis. Sal vir jou altyd onthou. Rus en vrede.
Damn it, I love you. Can't you see? If you don't need me, set me free.
Dennis East, jy sal voortleef in die musiekbedryf vir ewig en altyd.
But if you want me, let me know, or I'll just turn and go.
Heinrich de Plooi hier. Dennis East was 3,5 jaar by Bok Radio. Hy het 179 programme aangebied, waar sy laaste program 27 Februarie 2022 die liggolwe gesien het. Ek het die voorreg gehad om 'n noue samewerking met Dennis te werk. Kind and gentle soul is hoe ek hom kan opsom. Thank you, Dennis, for your wisdom and kindness. It was an honor and privilege to have known you and to have been able to work with you on your production of your show on Bok Radio. Wat 'n legende. Ek sal jou altyd onthou. Rest well, sir. Rest in peace, Dennis East.
This is Dennis East saying farewell and a big thank you to all the Bok listeners and for your continued support over the last 3.5 years on Tate Lewis. I would like to play out the show today with a song from a group that I was part of called Stingray. Released as a single, it's called Same Old Party. In the meantime, stay safe, stay tuned, and enjoy the music wherever you are.
Rus en vrede, Dennis East, ons gaan jou mis.